It's Q&A time for 2019, and before we get started, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been watching us from the very beginning. It's quite amazing to think that some of you have been viewers, subscribers, and even patrons from almost 2 years ago when we first started our journey. We love reading your comments and we reply to every single one of them.
But before we get into the Q&A, if you're a long-time follower but you're not yet subscribed, you can really help us out more than you know by clicking the subscribe button and hitting the bell icon next to it.
Also, leave a thumbs up and a comment. That helps us out more than you can imagine with promoting ABC and also promoting our inspiring story to other people. So together, let's see how far we can take sailing ABC in the coming year. Normally when we're doing talkie bits to camera, we like to have our sunnies off, but we're sitting at the edge of the little harbour here at Limney, and the sun is quite low in the sky and the glare is absolutely amazing, so I'm going to have to wear sunnies for this one, I'm sorry. What's our first question?
Our first question is from Frank Schwarz, and he asks, my question is related to your energy management, i.e. how to charge the house batteries and other batteries on board ABC. I saw that you had to replace the lead acid batteries just after a short period. Are you intending to upgrade to lithium at one point?
Well, Frank, this is something that we've been considering quite a lot since the incident you mentioned where we had to buy 3 new house batteries because the 3 that were only 18 months old were completely dead. I'll link to that in the description down below and also on screen over there. We haven't gotten around to that part of the maintenance for wintertime yet, but we will be having a really in-depth look at our batteries. Right now the situation is we've got 3 100 amp hour lead acid batteries for our domestic use and 1 separated 95 amp hour lead acid battery for our starter motor for our engine. The charging currently is done by our 600 watt solar array, and that seems to provide plenty of power to get the batteries back up to 100% as long as it's nice and sunny, even in the winter. Of course, when the engine's running, then the alternator charges the batteries too. As regards to lithium batteries, they are looking like a good contender, but the only thing that's holding us back is quite literally the price. It's not just a question of buying lithium batteries and sticking them in place of the lead acid batteries. There's a lot of other changes that have got to be made to the alternator, the charging system. The MPPT controller, that's just a little tweak that needs to be done to change its configuration to charge lithium batteries as opposed to lead acid batteries.
So here's a question, Baz, from Denise and Brian Keith, and they ask, what has been the most unexpected negative you've experienced so far? Before you undertook this journey, you would have had some concerns. Have any of those concerns actually been relevant?
Well, obviously the biggest thing that happened that was very negative was when we came loose from the mooring in Javier in Spain, but that was last year, and we've talked about that quite a lot. That was in last year's Q&A as well. This year, I don't know. What you got anything?
Well, I was thinking when the outside sheath broke away from the in-haul.
The furling line from the head sail. Yeah, we couldn't get it back through the jammer, and we had 30 knots of wind coming at us. So, but we figured that one out.
Yeah, we did.
I think the main concern before we began this journey for me was really the wind.
Yeah.
And you know, we'd heard a lot of stories about the wind in the Aegean and El Temi, and I think it was hyped up a lot more, or maybe we just got lucky because it wasn't that bad this year.
No, or we just chose anchorages that made sure that we were out of the worst of it ahead of time. Yeah.
Heinrich Thistrup asks, what do you do to pass time on a daily basis? On land, people spend weekends and evenings with family and friends at the theatre or restaurants. All that's not so possible living on a boat. So how do you cope with filling your spare time?
Spare time? What's that? Yeah, it's a good question, but surprisingly we don't have that much spare time because we do spend quite a lot of time on the computer, obviously editing videos. We reply to people's comments on social media and also write our blogs, which does take quite a long time in itself. By then, after our meal in the evening, well, we usually just either read a book or watch a movie, something like that.
Yeah.
Henrik has another question, and this one I think is more for you, Baz. How much time do you spend on maintenance on the boat? It seems that you guys often need to repair as things are broken. Is that due to the age, usage of the boat? It seems to me that my friends who have boats don't spend so much time on repairs. Maybe they've got newer boats.
ABC was born in 1995, so she's nearly a quarter of a century old. But she is in good nick for her age, and it may look like we do a lot of maintenance, but really it's preventative maintenance. Lots of small jobs that you've just got to keep on top of before they become big jobs. So boat maintenance, it's one of those questions that starts with, well, it all depends.
Yeah.
Murray Westonsco asks, have we ever been to the US, and if so, where? The answer is yes. I was there in...
But not in a boat.
No, not in a boat. I was there in 1990 to 1991. I was attempting to get work as a radio DJ over there, but that didn't pan out, so I went back to Spain.
Yeah.
And you?
Yeah, I was there around about the same time, separately, and I stayed in Carmel, mainly, in California, and where else? Oh yes, I did go to Las Vegas for a 2-day seminar with a guy called Stuart Wilde. So I was actually in the air longer flying to and from Australia than I was actually in Las Vegas, but I had a great time. Tumosa asks, have you fitted any lightning protection to the mast of your boat or instruments on board, so as if you were hit it's not a total loss of said equipment?
The answer to that is I'm not sure. I would imagine Jeannot, when they built the boat, put in some sort of lightning grounding system. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't come across it as we've been doing maintenance. And fortunately, we haven't really been in any electrical storms, so it's so far not an issue. But it is one of the jobs on the list to find out this winter if we do have lightning protection.
Yeah, and the way you're going to go in and out of the boat, we'll find it.
Boston and Piper Elmore ask, how do you protect your computers from the salt air or the moisture that's on board the boat? There isn't really, surprisingly, there isn't really a lot of moisture on the boat.
No.
And even when we're using the computers up in the cockpit during the warm summer months, we're just at anchor and there's not a lot of moisture, so there's not really any protection needed.
I mean, the boat's been closed up for a while. It's rained a lot while we've been here, and it's as dry as a bone inside, so we're very fortunate in that regard. Obviously, we don't take them up on deck when we're sailing, because, you know, you can get water splashing over, but we do sometimes work with them on deck, but again, it doesn't seem to have been an issue, so
No,
yeah, fingers crossed
really
on that
an
one. Henrik, this drop has another question. How do you plan which islands to visit and for how long? There must be zillions of islands to visit and explore, but finding the right ones must be difficult. Secondly, on what do you base your decision on when to start your winter stay over and when to continue the journey? Is it the weather?
I think the weather answers all of those questions.
Yeah.
When we began the journey from Turkey earlier this year, and we went as far up the north of the Turkish coast as we could, and then crossed over to Samos to enter Greece. Our plan was to go as far west and north as we could before the Meltemi wind really kicked in, which blows from the north, and then zigzag down through the islands using the Meltemi wind as power. However, our plan fell apart when we had 30 knots of wind and we were going from Samos to... No. I'll put the name of the island on the screen at the bottom. We're going to this island. We had a plan of 4 different anchorages that we thought we could stop in. When we got there, they were all busy or impossible to anchor in
because of the wind situation. So we had to ditch that island, and as the day was getting late and the wind was blowing 30 knots from the north, the only option we had was to go south. So that first decision to go south at that point really laid out the plans for the rest of the summer sailing season.
It did, yeah. Other decisions about choosing an island, obviously we look at anchorage and you know, which way the wind is going to be blowing while we're there. So is there a safe protected anchorage that we can stay at? Does it have provisions?
Yep.
Because obviously, you know, it might be a beautiful island, but we can't spend too much time where there isn't a place to shop.
Internet connection is important.
Yeah, internet connection is important.
Very important to us, yeah. So, yes. Now, as regards to what made us decide to haul out, we actually planned to haul out at the end of November because there was a few little places we wanted to see up here in the North Evier area. But the exhaust elbow engine situation forced our hand a month earlier, and we really just wanted to get her out as soon as possible because the exhaust elbow was not only blowing soot into the engine compartment, it was also blowing in the exhaust fumes. So technically, ABC's engine was choking on her own exhaust emissions. So that wasn't good, and we didn't want to push it too far.
Tumosa also asks, will you be doing the work on the boat or farm it out to the shipyard where you are on the hard?
We expect to be doing 95% of the work ourselves, simply because it's cost savings. But I'm leaning towards getting the guy at the boatyard who just stands hulls. I'm thinking about getting him to do the hull standing because it is dirty work, it is toxic work, and you need the proper equipment to be able to do that, and he has that because I've seen him do it on the other hulls.
And he'll do it probably far better and far quicker than we could do. So we could use our time better doing something else probably. Yeah. And he's the expert at that. Lowlight guy asks, I'm curious if you guys are planning to do an Atlantic crossing to the Caribbean for 2020. For 2019, what has been your best sail yet, to which city or country?
Yes, we do plan to cross the Atlantic. When that happens is still an undecided, simply because to exit Gibraltar and get to the Canary Islands at the right time of year has to be done, I think, in the autumn. Now, whether we can make it there for the autumn of 2020 is unknown because we're still in Greece, or whether we have to wait another year and get down there in the autumn of 2021. Not sure yet.
Yeah. You know, because you have to take into consideration we might want to get some extra equipment before we leave the Mediterranean and things like that as well. So, yeah, it's big undecided right now.
So, best sails this year.
Sailing to Levitha, that was a great one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was quite a good one until at the end it got a bit too bumpy and confused seas at the end. But the majority of that sail was very good. Yeah,
we had about 25, sometimes 30 knots, and we flew along. Yeah, actually, it was great.
Was good. Yeah, do you know what? I'd have to look at the ship's log to be able to recall.
We have had some
great sails.
But
I think for us, you know, the sail is a learning curve every time we sail because the wind's always different. The sail set is always different.
Yeah, we're still learning to trim the sails.
Yeah, so each time it's a learning curve.
It is, yeah. So we should get better with it in 2020 because we're going to have some longer passages as well, probably. Yeah.
Sailing Etanche, very nice French pronunciation there, hopefully, asks, how is it living on the hard until Christmas? Well, I think you're probably best answering that one.
It's great. Yes, I'm a landlubber, but yes, I love being on the sea when I'm on the sea. For me, though, just actually being surrounded by trees and being able to walk on land, especially now that I can, now I've got both feet working, and having a view of the sea lapping against the shore as opposed to being in the middle of it. I love all of those things, and the people here at the boatyard are very, very helpful and very nice.
I'm enjoying the availability of as much water as we want to use and nice hot showers, but every time I look out the balcony at the sea, I think I just so want to be out there.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, how we're slightly different in that regard?
Yeah.
Yeah. No one anybody knows has asked, are you approached by strangers selling illegal substances? Is the use of these substances open and obvious, or are they somewhat hidden from the authorities? Do you encounter openly aggressive individuals that make you feel uncomfortable or threatened, i.e. verbally abusive, unsolicited sexual offers, male and female? I haven't had any of those. I'd say no to all of them.
I'd say no to all of those. No, there isn't any open and obvious use of drugs. We've certainly never been approached by anyone offering us drugs.
No. They have very strict penalties in Greece as
well.
Especially,
yes, in Greece. And of course, you know, Turkey,
well.
I should imagine it'd be the same.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth messing around with that sort of stuff.
Even if you wanted to.
Even if you wanted to. But I think the only time I ever felt slightly guarded was when we were in Istanbul.
Yeah.
Mainly, not just because it's Istanbul, it's just because it's such a big city and there's a lot of people, you know...
Well, that's where predators live.
In big cities, yeah. The rest of the time, everyone we've met has been absolutely fantastic.
Having said that, even Istanbul, really, the worst that we had, apart from being, you know, conned by the hotel people, which you can watch, the worst was really being... bothered by people trying to sell us carpets and
touts.
Yeah. That, and other than that, no, not at all. Steen Kiggerrider, sorry if that's the wrong pronunciation. Can we call you Steen
for short?
How long did it take you before, in your own minds, feeling more or less confident yacht skippers after running aground in Spain?
Whew. I think. Because we had very little true sailing while we were in the western part of the Med in the region of Spain, and then when Mike and Elaine were on board helping us get across to Turkey, we probably motored 80% of the way because there was no wind and we had a date deadline. I think we didn't really become competent and confident until probably when we finally left Turkey and entered into the Greek territorial waters.
Yeah, I think what we have certainly learned is to trust our eyes and our ears, you know, as well as our instruments. Yeah, I'd say that this season has been more of a learning curve, sailing. Samantha Kerridge asks, what heating have you got? I'm wondering about economy and how well it works.
The only heating we've got will only work when we're attached to shore power. It's just a little electric heater blower.
Yeah.
There is no other heating on ABC.
Yeah.
We have no plans to go too far north, so hopefully we won't be needing heating.
Yeah, hot water bottles.
Hot water bottles work, and a few extra layers of clothes.
Yeah. Anders Jacobson asks, is there any reason to haul out rather than for the maintenance?
Yes, here in Greece, yes.
Sailing tax.
There is a Greek cruising tax, yeah, which you have to pay if you're in the water. When we're out of the water, we don't have to pay that. Now, our Greek cruising tax comes to around about 128 euros a month, whereas out on the hard here is only 100 euros a month. So it's a win financially from that aspect. But also, we don't want to be at anchor during the winter months when the Mediterranean storms can just pop up and they blow real hard. I was looking at Windy a couple of days ago and looking at a storm in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea in between the Spanish Balearic Islands and Corsica, and it had peak gusts of 60 knots. So you can imagine how much wave action would be built up by that kind of wind.
Yeah.
And even yesterday, just looking out of the balcony, we had 35 knots, maybe 40 knots
from the south.
From the south.
And the bay is exposed to the south, so...
And, you know, so at anchor or on a mooring with that sort of wave action, it's just not going to happen.
No.
And our budget doesn't allow us to stay long-term in marinas because they're just so expensive. Sail Ho asks, do you need any extra insurance to stay in Greece for the winter? No. Our boat insurance, which we pay annually, that covers us whether we're in Greece or pretty much anywhere within the given latitude, longitude zones of the insurance clauses. So no extra insurance to stay in Greece for the winter.
Henrik S. Peterson asks, do you have a bucket list of dream destinations and will your son visit you? Our son visiting us is my bucket dream. Luke.
A bucket list of dream destinations. That's kind of difficult to put into an easy answer. My dream destination would be somewhere where I could scuba dive every single day. The Mediterranean, you can scuba dive every single day. The water is beautiful, crystal clear, but there ain't nothing to see. It's been overfished, unfortunately.
For a long, long time.
A long, long time.
Yeah.
So, dream destinations. Do you know what? I'm actually looking forward to getting to the Caribbean, and I know the Caribbean's been overdone by every YouTube channel out there, but I just like the look of the place, really. I want to check that place out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to continuing our sail through the Mediterranean because we are looking at seeing more of the Ionian, which is on the other side of Greece, Peloponnese, which, you know, is not somewhere that's relatively well visited by sailing channels, I don't think. And yeah, Malta, we're going to Malta, I'm looking forward to that.
Scuba diving there.
Yeah, more parts of the coast of Spain and some of the Balearic Islands, hopefully. Maybe France, because that's where we originally did our very first journey when we were young, so we were thinking we'd like to go back there. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing more of the Med, because there's so much. The countries are so different as well, the cultures are different in such a small area, really.
As to our son visiting, we hope he's going to visit May of next year. Yeah.
Depending on his work and savings, I think.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't wait to see him. Daryl Grames asks, what size is the engine? And seeing as the boat is nearly 25 years old, how many hours are on the engine?
Okay, hours on the engine is 2474, 2474. Now the engine, I've got to read this. The engine is a Yanmar 4JH2TE diesel, 59 horsepower. So yeah, she is an older boat. The hours are very low, and I think the engine has been overhauled at some time in its life. I mean, properly hauled out and fixed and put back in. We hope you enjoyed this Q&A for 2019, and we hope it wasn't too long and boring for you.
Yeah, it's been very thought-provoking for us, so I really like to answer these questions because it gives us a chance to review the sailing season.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So thank you to everyone who popped a question into the comments section, and of course, if you're watching this and you've got any more questions, pop them into the comments section below, and we will do our best to answer them for you.
Yeah. Till then.
Cheers.
See you.